who should be successful, but what? They're not successful. Why?
So that's his why buy. But what is he afraid of?
My personal style of education, but still entertain them, bring them along with stories, right? Who do we want to learn from? People who are what? Killing it.
If you're a real man, what do you do? I'm not the only one.
You can't wait to tell your spouse. You can't wait to tell your colleague. You can't wait to go to work and tell somebody. And you're like, oh my God, I can't wait. So what happened?
If you haven't seen my TV show, you should get cable. That's what we need to do.
From doing a TV show to doing corporate events, I've been so lucky to connect with many passionate entrepreneurs worldwide.
What I've learned from a business perspective.
Because this is the formula for success, no matter who you talk to. Attitude will drive your behavior. Would you agree? And your behavior will drive your consequences every single time.
All right, we got the concept. Okay, we got the concept. We got the equipment, right? We got the brand. You guys got that. And then again, we got the content that we create. That's the easy part. This is the big one, the big C, which is the commitment.
What should you do? That's right. All right. 10Xers, do not fail me. True test. Here it comes.
There's skill, and then there's will. Listen to what I'm saying. There is skill, and then there is will. And here's the interesting thing. I know a lot of people who have a lot of skill, but have no what? Will, right? You ever look at somebody who's successful, and you say, why them, why not you? Yes, okay, that's me too.
You have more control, but your costs are also going to be what? Higher.
Now, here's where some of the magic is starting to kick in.
You can talk to any CEO in the B2B business, any CEO. You walk into his office and they only care about three things. People too. Yeah, he with the suit, put it up. There you go. I hope you can see this. I'll try to draw big. Let's pretend for a moment that I had 7 territories. You remember I wrote that out? Yes or no? Boom. Territory 2, territory 3, all the way to territory number what? 7. So now I've segmented my market.
So content is going to start being created by machines. And I'm telling you right now that those people, you guys, the content creators that connect with people are the ones that are going to win. Some people think, well, it won't work for my industry. Really? It'll work for any industry. Trust me. The majority of the time when we're looking to fix something, repair something, or learn something, where do we go? YouTube. We don't even want to read anymore. We go to YouTube. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
When you're doing your thing, beautiful things begin to happen. It's like the law of attraction kicks in. You know what I mean? It's almost like you're in line with the universe. Everything works. And when you do your thing, everybody gets an automatic MBA, which stands for what? Mega Bank Account Money. Are you with me? So we don't want to do a thing. We want to do a what? Beautiful.
All right, put it all together for Victor Antonio. Here we go.
All right, there we go. I'm not here to mess around. You ready to learn, yes or no?
That's how it works in today's market. Whether it's B2B or B2C, you see the similar patterns. How do you just, in other words, say you got to start doing these things, pushing them, but also encouraging them. Oh, look at this. This is where it gets, dude, this is like so interactive with audiences, Matt. Can you imagine this with your customers? Check this out. Now, what does all this have to do with selling? It has everything to do with selling.
All right, welcome to another Sales After Dark, because money never sleeps, right? Anyway, thank you for joining me tonight. It is Sunday, so if you're here, you are awesome. Anyway, if you're watching this on the replay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to spend some time to say hi to my friends on the chat right now, so you can fast forward maybe 3 to 4 or 5 minutes. Then I'm going to jump into some content for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll do some questions and answers at the end, and I'll give you my final thoughts. That's the way the program is set up. So let's see who is on the chat. My girl, Mia Knox, West Coast in the house. Mia, always glad to have you here. You know I like having you here, so thank you. And my man, there he is. No, not 77, it's 97. Don't try to pull me back. Woohoo, good evening, everyone. It is episode 97 on the road to 100 episodes, man. Thank you guys, man, for being here. Sai, thank you, man. Glad you're here. That's right, Brian. 97, that's the number, man. My man, Chris Stone. Again, if you love the intro, and if you're checking out our replays, so what we're doing is taking the Sales After Dark, we're taking just a content piece and putting them up on the Sales Influence channel, and Chris has done a beautiful job, beautiful intro, nice chopping up of the actual video, and if you just want pure content and you just want to watch this, again, on the Sales Influence channel, look for the Sales After Dark replays. Chris, great job again. Pete says, hi, Pete, what's happening? O.V. Vasquez, Merry Early Christmas, Feliz Navidad. Da, 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 da. Remember that? That was Jose Feliciano. That was a jam. Still a jam. Anyway, Spencer, what's happening? Mr. Alfred himself, man. Always glad to be here with you. Let me see what else. Hey, Victor, trying to do my thing. As always, man. Trying to do the thing, man. Every time. Cash ahead, MBA, mega bank account. That's what everybody wants. Leon Daly, what's happening? Hey, Victor, up and running, ready to learn some new things tonight. My friend, cause they call selling it not hard when you know how. That's exactly right, man. And we got Darius. I like the way you have to actually help people out with that, Darius. Do people call you like Darius? I mean, I thought everybody knew how to say Darius. But anyway, yo, right back at you, Darius, man. Juka. Love saying that. How you doing, man? Juka, glad to have you. Jada Beach, man. Where have you been, man? I haven't seen you in a while, man. What is happening? We got Dwight Bence. Love the name, man. Dwight, thank you for joining us, Dwight, man. Appreciate you being here. Brian Cheng, good morning, Victor. Long time no see. Where you been? Hope you're well. I'm doing well. Hope you are also. My man, Kamlesh, what's happening? Mumbai. Love that one, man. Anand says 97 on fire, man. Let's do it. Doug Lehman breaking it down in layman's terms. My man had a beer with my man Doug today. Beer and burger, right, Doug? Had a nice time, man. Doug, glad you're here, man, as well. Let me see you guys say hi. Rod Vidre, what's happening? Rod, be good today, man. Be good. Be nice today, Rod. Nah, just be Rod, man. I like your tough questions, man. Bring them on. Dwayne Horn, man. What's happening, Dwayne? Glad you're here, man. Anand says, let me see what you got, Anand. Good morning from India, man. I know you're up early, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let me see what we got. You guys are saying hi to each other. Perfect. I'm going to just jump on this. We got Mom's. I like this one. Mom's Mobile Oil Change. First time here. Let's get it. Let's get it. Mom's Mobile Oil Change. Is that just for moms, out of curiosity? That would be a kind of cool marketing strategy, right? If only moms. This is only for moms, where you can have your kids play in the little playground, got a little playpen for the kids. What a great idea now that I think about that. Mom's Mobile Oil Change. I wonder. Anyway, LinkedIn user, I don't know the name, but boom, beautifully chopped. The ABC rule. Attitude will drive your behavior, will ultimately drive your consequence, man. That's right there. Philosophy in a nutshell. All right. Topic for today is kind of buyer enablement. So I have to revise, and I think this is what's happening in the market. I have to revise my universal sales process. Yes, I'm a little sad, but we must progress with the times. So for those of you who remember, who've been with me from almost day one, remember the universal sales formula, the one I preach all the time. There's two things I always preach. There's the value trinity, and then there's the universal sales formula, and that is the following. When you're talking to a customer, drop that one. When you're talking to a customer, the first thing you want to do is empathize, right? Try to really understand where they're coming from, right? That's the first phase in the actual sales process. Empathize with your customers, And then once we empathize, understand their pain points, so forth and so on, the next thing we want to do is Just shrink this a little bit this way, move it. The next thing we want to do is then we move into the education phase, right? We educate the buyer, right? So in other words, I first understand your problem. I listen carefully. I listen actively, ask you clarifying questions, take my time during the discovery process, and then once I get you, I understand you, I move into the education phase. Now, the education phase is about insight, information beyond the obvious, maybe resetting your perspective, giving you a different way of thinking about things, giving you information that you currently do not have. And then, if I've done that piece right, if I've given you the content, showed you the differences between A, B versus the competitor, if I've educated you, then the last part would be is I want to empower you to make a decision. And we've talked about that in past. Empower means no longer does this ABC thing work. There's always B closing, different ABC, right? Because consumers are smarter today. They have a lot of information, but more importantly, they have a lot of options. So this whole thing about pressuring people to buy is a thing of the past. Now, I'm not saying you don't nudge people to buy, right? In other words, by trying to convince them, I'm not saying you got to ask for the order, you got to try to get them to buy, but trying to pressure people to buy will backfire in today's market more times than not. There's something called sales reactance. We've talked about that. You pressure somebody, they react by saying, you know what, let me just think about it. And it's because we're pressuring them. So this is your typical sales process, right? No matter what sales process you look at, they follow these steps. Understand your client's pain points. Educate them how your product can alleviate those pain points. And then give them options, empower them to make a buying decision. Offer them different options, whatever it may be, special financing, you get the idea. That's the universal sales formula that I've been preaching. But something is happening in the market, and it just forced me to rethink this, right? Because I've rethought it already. So here's the formula as it is right here. So what I want to do is, let me just shrink it there a little bit. You guys probably see that. What's happening in the market now, this part you already know, is that buyers are going online to look for information and they're finding it on themselves. If you recall, in 2011, I think it's December 2011, the book, The Challenger Sale, came out. And for those of you who have good memories, because that's 2011, so that's a little far back, right? 2011, basically they said buyers, in terms of looking for a product or service, when they go online, they look at, if you recall, they look at 10 sources of information, right? And on average, they're like 57% into the buying cycle. 57% into the buying cycle means that they've done enough research where they're halfway to making up their mind. Think about that. They're halfway to making up their mind. Also keep in mind, this is 2011. That's 2011. When the Challenger, by the way, the company is called CEB, which is now part of Gartner. Gartner bought the CEB out. And so in 2011, people were halfway into the buying cycle. You tell me what percentage, based on your experience, what percentage do you think, now this is just opinion, right? Everybody has an opinion on this, but I want your opinion. What percentage do you think they're into the buying cycle? In today's market, what do you think that percentage is? In 2011, they were a little more than halfway to making a buying decision. Now, for those of you, let me just kind of highlight what I mean by the buying experience. If something happened, there's a trigger moment here. Like, oh man, I got a problem. Then what's going to happen? I'm going to do some research, right? I'm going to consider my options. I'm going to start forming my preferences. Like this, don't like that, like that. Then I'm going to start what? Really narrowing down my options, and maybe I'll contact 3 vendors and have them come in and do a presentation, or contact 3 companies, and then I'll look at the 3 companies and then finally make a decision, right? That's what I mean. It should have been a straight line, but I ran out of space. But that's what I mean by the buying cycle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 2011, people would probably be right there, hypothetically speaking. Something would happen and they would be this far before they'd reach out and contact you. But in today's market, what do you think that number is? Give me a percentage. What do you think that number is? Come on, give me a percentage. How far into the buying cycle, 100% being they do it on their own, right? So let's not think commodity products like buying a book. Let's think a product or service that they have to go buy from somebody, contact a company. How far into the buying process do you think they are? Give me a number. We got Brian says 78%. Good number, 78%. What else you guys got? Come on. How far into the buying process? What do you think? 80%. Mom's is going with 80%. I love it. What else you guys got? Come on. I need you to commit to something. Don't be afraid to commit. By the way, I really mean this is not a beer. So now I can actually show you it's not a beer. Look, lime water. Okay, just in case you guys were wondering again. Okay, back here. All right, what do you got? Cameron Figueroa says 20%. Juka says 80%. Mama said 90%. Mia says 55%. Kamala says 85%. Got to put the glasses on for that one. Let me see. Melwin says... Rod says 92.4. You're so accurate, right? Melwin says 80%. CF is at 70% plus. Manish. Michael says 30%. Alk Kumar says, I hope I got that right, it's 40%. Barbara Morgan is chiming in with 85%. TJ says 95%. Spencer's at 60. Leon Daly is at 77. Good numbers, by the way. If you're looking for me to give you a number, I don't have a number. My guess, it's got to be 80, and I'm thinking quite closer to 90. That would be my number. And again, if you asked me to prove it, I couldn't prove it to you. But what's happening today is that more and more, I'm looking at different studies out there, and I no longer see 50%. I no longer see 60. I'm trying to see 70, 80, 90% into the buying cycle, depending on which industry you're in. So if that's true, we need to rethink the universal sales formula. Because remember, I said you have to empathize, right? That was the first step. You had to empathize. Then I said you had to educate them, right? And then I said you had to empower them to make a buying decision. This is what I suggested right there. Those three steps. But what I think is happening now is I have to shrink this a little bit now. Let me see if I can get this down, hopefully, right there. And so now, what I think is happening, I'm going to go with blue on this one. What I think is now happening is that the education, that piece is actually happening right here. The education piece is happening first. And so what I think is that this number is closer probably to 90% before they reach out. This is what I'm saying, is that they're 90% into the buying cycle. And again, we can argue about if it's 70, 80, or 90. Doesn't matter. It's a big number. So they're this far into the buying process. So then they call you, and now here's where you have to what? Empathize with them. Right? So that's kind of how it works. But look how far they're into the buying process. I'm going to talk about this I'll expand on this just a little bit. But also what's happening is they're contacting you. The education isn't really education anymore. There's still some element of that, but I'm going to add a plus. In fact, I might even just replace it. What they're looking for is elaboration. That's my word. I use this word. Elaboration. What does that mean? Imagine you want to buy, I don't know, a $5,000 camera, a $5,000 video camera, right? And let's say you've done the research online, right? Now, $5,000, it's hard to pull the trigger on that, right? But let's say, like one of my favorite companies, I don't know if are you guys familiar with B&H Photo? B&H Photo. It's a website. I spoke to them several years ago. It's a great company, but that's where I get a lot of my electronic equipment, by the way, when I go online. And so for me, reviewing a $5,000 camera, I'm going to educate myself to see what the best one is. Then I'm going to reach out and I'm going to ask somebody, for example, at B&H and say, hey, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what I found out. Here's what I think I need, right? And now, if it's a smart salesperson, he's going to dig in a little bit into what I really need. Well, tell me again what you're going to use it for. Okay, how often are you going to use it? What type of filming? You know, all the wonderful questions. And then he's going to say, okay, I got it. And then he said, I'm going to ask questions, and he's going to start elaborating. Well, here's the difference between this camera and this camera. You mentioned this one, you mentioned that one, you mentioned that one. Let me walk through all three to help you understand, elaborate on what I've already researched on. So I think this is the new formula. And this becomes very interesting. It's an interesting argument now. I'm telling you, this is happening everywhere. So if you're working for a company or you're a salesperson in a company, you really need to pay attention to this, because what is now happening is that customers are walking in educated. They're picking up the phone educated. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Victor, I still have customers who call in who've done no research and don't even know what anything costs. You'll always have those people. That's probably going to be, again, 10% of the population, let's say that. But the majority of people are starting to go online. Serious buyers are starting to go online. I've seen studies that show that people who don't do research online and just call in rarely buy. The percentages are very low. But the majority of serious buyers are doing the research, and then they're calling. And the more research they do, the more qualified they are when they do call. So in other words, said another way, the further they are into the buying cycle, the more they're qualifying themselves as a serious buyer. It kind of makes sense, doesn't it? If you do a little bit of research and you call the company, you're not a serious buyer. If you do a lot of research, like a week's worth of research, and then call somebody, that's a commitment. You've committed a week. That means you're serious about buying. So that if you buy what I'm saying so far, if I'm selling you correctly, if you're buying what I'm saying, that really brings up an interesting point. And this is the big shift. And this shift has been happening for a few years. One can argue 5 to 7 years this shift has been happening. Maybe since 2011, we can maybe call it 9 years, that the buyers are looking at information on their own, which means whether you're a company, small business, right, or an entrepreneur, right, that means that if people are educating themselves, what does that tell you? Especially if you're a small business, small, medium-sized business and entrepreneur. That means that online, you have to focus on this part now. I mean, you think about it. So what is this education piece? What does that mean now? So think about it. So what is this education? Education is what? They're looking at blogs. They're looking at articles. They're looking at videos, right? They're listening to podcasts. They're watching Sales After Dark, a live stream, whatever it may be. All these things they're doing to what? Educate themselves, on what they want. And so my question to you is, how much content are you putting out there? But not just any type of content, though. I'm talking about, I need you to think about your product, right? Imagine this is your product. Let's call it product P. That's product P, right? Product P. That's what you're selling. Now, ask yourself this question. If I'm looking online, I want you to be a buyer for a second. If you're looking for a product online, product P, what questions would you ask? What do you want to know? Obviously, you're going to say, think of frequently asked questions, right? Which is how much? How much does it cost? What's the delivery time? That could be another one, right? What's the installation cost, right? How long does it take to install? So forth and so on. If I'm selling software, how long does, if you wanted to transfer the data, what questions are your customers asking? What customers are your customers asking about your product or service? And if you know what questions they're asking, then if you know what questions they're asking about your product, these questions should drive the content that you post online. That's the ticket here. This is what's happening. And we're going to call this the front end of the actual sales process. If that's the sales process right there, right? We start with this one. We initially thought we just had to educate them, right? Right here. Empathize, educate, empower. We now know that we have to what? That they're looking online for information, so they're being educated. They're educating themselves, so we need to get that content. What type of content? Well, the content is based on your product. Let me zoom down on that. Your product. Frequently asked questions. This will drive the type of content you put out there. I'm often asked this question, if I can wrap it up nicely. Victor, why do you do Sales After Dark for free? What do you think the answer is? Why do you think I do this for free? Put your answers down there. I want to see what you got. Put your answers down there. Why do you think I do this for free? Based on the context of what I just showed you, why do you think I do this for free? Now, it's a trick question, by the way. Let's see if you get it. It's a trick question. And then I'll take comment. Pete says leads. Leads. Because what happens is people find my Sales After Dark, they find my videos, they listen to my podcast, and they said, well, what we're looking for is blank, right? So I know information, somebody said information leads, information. Juka says you're a good human being. You're awesome. Yes, I am, Juka. Stefan Vasquez says to sell yourself. I hear what you're saying. I just don't like the way you phrase it, but you're absolutely right, man. To educate us. Well, yes, true. Content marketing. Joe Andreas gets it, man. Value. Got build trust. Jade says because it's the tip of the iceberg. Always. Show you're an expert. Way to go, Dwight Benz. It's a lead asset. Absolutely. Content to be found online when they're looking for an expert. There it goes. OV, that's probably the best answer right there. So I'm going to get right there is the answer. Content to be found online where they're looking for an answer. And by the way, a lot of you guys have it down, man. You got the right answers. And so my man Buddy Black's back. Buddy Black, what's happening? Great content drives sales towards your product, right? And so when I'm thinking of, and this I'm just sharing with you to tie it into this, when I'm thinking about the type of content to talk to you about, see where I'm going? When I'm thinking about the type of content to talk to you about, what am I thinking? I'm thinking about the questions people ask. Like right now, people are asking the question, like, why am I even doing this topic today? Why am I doing this topic today? Look at the description down below. Do me a favor, look at the description down below. And then tell me why I'm talking about this right now. Tell me why I'm talking about this topic. See if you get it. I'm not trying to trick you. Just look below. Stefan Vasquez says, by the way, I love the way you sell yourself. I do my best, man. I do my best. But seriously, look below. Look at the topic. Look at the key words in that topic. Look at the key words. Go all the way to the bottom, by the way, in the description if you're watching it on YouTube, and look at the hashtags. One is Sales After Dark. What are the other two hashtags? I'm creating content specifically, right? Specifically for what? People who are looking and searching for buyer enablement. Right? Sales process. And again, Dwight says to showcase the whiteboard. Not really, man. Not really. So it's finding the why. People are like, oh my God, we experienced a sales funnel. Yes, you did. So that's all it says. So what happens is people go online and they type in a question about selling. You've seen my series. Hey, what do you do when a client says, let me think about it? Well, people type in, let me think about it. You can probably type it in right now. What do you say when someone says, client says, let me think about it? What do you say? Go ahead, type it into the YouTube right now. I dare you. See if I come up anywhere near that. If I do, give me a 1. If I don't, give me a 0, right? But I create content that answers people's questions. And so as I'm creating this content, it's building what? This huge database online. And so people find me. And so I haven't made a cold call in quite a bit of time, actually, right? Because I love inbound marketing and I believe in content marketing. And what's happening is that this aligns with what's happening in the market. Buyers want to educate themselves. They want to research somebody, or in this case, somebody, or in your case, the products before they reach out. So when people call me, it's not like, Victor, what do you do? No, they already know what I do. And I don't even have to sell myself in terms of, have you ever talked to big crowds? They've seen my videos. They know I talk to big crowds. They don't even ask me, are you entertaining when you train? Of course I am, because they see these videos. So all those questions have been answered because that's what my buyers are thinking. My buyers are thinking, if I hire this guy to train my people, can he engage them? Does he know what he's talking about? Does he have a presence? So forth and so on. Does he have books? They can find that online. They're going to find that also. They can look at my videos. All this is to answer questions. So my question to you then is, are you creating content? And I'm not talking you have to do it at this level. Go look at some of my original videos. Man, they were done on phones. Remember those flip phones, those flip video phones? I used to use those just to record videos when I first started.
whatever it is, the goal is to create content that people find online that eventually leads like a trail of breadcrumbs that leads back to your website. So when people are educating themselves and they're asking themselves these questions, I want them to find my articles, my videos, my podcasts, and my Sales After Dark, and my YouTube, right? All that. Now, I don't do a lot of blogs and articles. I don't know. I don't feel like writing sometimes blogs and articles, but I could. I could take my podcast and make them an article and do it that way and just create content. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about tonight. Is if you look at this process, we now know that if we believe 90%, and by the way, you can go with your number. If you said 70, go with 70. But I don't think it's less than 57. That was the number CEB set. It's not less than 57, it's more. So I don't care if it's 60, 70, 80, 90, whatever it may be. It could be 95 for all I care. Doesn't matter. The point is people are going online to look for content to help them make a buying decision. And somebody pointed out here that it's all about trust, right? People go and they trust you, right? They read your content and go, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And the more transparent you are, one of the things I try to be with you all the time is authentic and transparent. If you've been on these live streams long enough, you know that when I don't know something, I go, I don't know. When I don't have a good answer, I go, don't have a good answer for you, right? Because that's part of the transparency, authentic brand that you have to be online. And every one of you can create content if you wanted to actually drive traffic to your website, to your company's website. And every salesperson today should begin to see themselves as a brand. By that I mean as, I want you to listen carefully because salespeople are not getting this. Millennials get this. I think millennials figured this out already. Maybe Gen Xers. Baby boomers, I don't think so. You're no longer just selling, you're a brand within a company. You can work for a big company, HubSpot, Salesforce, I don't know, Chorus.ai, whatever it may be, great companies. But within that company, you now have to brand yourself. When people go to LinkedIn and they look at your profile, that's part of your branding. When they look at your activities, what you posted, what you commented on, what you shared, what you wrote, this is part of your branding. And if you don't think that's important, you're not getting it. The one study, I think it was by Forrester, that said, on average, I think the number was, it was really high, it was in values, it was in virtual selling by the Rain Group. And they said 78%, sometimes I get dyslexic. No, I think it's 87% of B2B buyers will look at your profile before contacting you. So when you reach out to a B2B buyer, 87% will go to your LinkedIn profile to see who you are. That's branding. That's why it's not just a beautiful picture, right? Don't have that model picture. Don't have that. That's weird, right? Have a business picture, but then look at your profile, look at the content, and what I always do is I always look at the activity of that person because that's part of their branding. So keep in mind that they're doing the research on you. So as a salesperson, you are a brand. And can you write your own articles? Of course you can. Share your knowledge. Somebody mentioned position yourself as an expert. So people see you as an expert, right? They go, oh, okay, this person seems to know what to talk about. And it's not just one article. That's not going to do it. 2 articles is not going to do it. I remember saying this, and people still think I'm joking. But if you want to be a serious player, this is only for the people who want to be serious about video. If you want to be serious about video, on YouTube, I personally believe that if you don't have at least 100 videos on YouTube, you're not even in the game. You got to get real lucky. You got to have a special video. Now, I'm not saying you have to create 100 videos. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking out loud about YouTube in general if you want to position yourself as a video expert, right? All I'm saying to you is, can you create an article every month? 1 article a month, 300 words. Come on, it's not that hard. Can you write 2 articles a month, right? Can you record a 1-minute video, a 1.5 minute video talking about something very specific, something that you can talk about, something that you know? So if you're selling, I don't know, again, I always use SaaS software products, and you want to share your perspective in 1.5 minutes, then why not? This is all branding. Again, share your knowledge, share your information, so when people look you up on LinkedIn, maybe even on Facebook, they see, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about,
right? They're not putting all these motivational quotes all the time. They're talking about real things. They're talking about real issues. They're showing me things I didn't know or didn't think about. Anyway, you get the point. All of this is about educating the buyer before they reach out to you. So my question to you is, what can you do to build content? And I say to you, think of your product. Think of your product right here. That's your product. Think of the questions that your customers typically ask, and then begin to create content. And maybe that's a goal for the new year. Just begin to create some cool content. And that is it for the Sales After Dark. So anyway, there's a lot of stuff here, man. I know I missed a lot of stuff, so I'm going to try to scroll up and see how much I get. All right, so let me go back up. Influence, showcase. Somebody says, I'll start with the showcase the whiteboard, because that's totally just a bad answer. But yeah, Dwight, I'm messing with you, man. TJ joined, man. TJ, always glad to have you here. Finding the why. Yeah, you just been funneled in the sense, yeah. Let me see. And you're leading all of us to Sales Velocity Academy. Yeah, right there. Sorry. Okay, now I should be very obvious about that. Sales Velocity Academy. If you haven't checked it out, great. And also subscribe down there so you know when I go live. And so it's not just about the academy. It's really about, again, how do you create content people want? Oh, I missed up here. Wayne said, what's happening? Wayne, right back at you, man. What's happening, man? Let me see. Well, what's there to think about? Okay. Let me see. Sales Academy rocks. Thank you, Pete, man. I appreciate you all the time. Let me think about it. Is there anything about my offer that I can clarify for you? Stefan, I'm telling you, you want to see my response. Go check it out. Type in Victor Antonio. Let me think about it, and then just look at what I do. I think you'll love the approach. You're the second video in my search. Boom, moms. Thank you very much. BA is the pro. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. Appreciate that. Buddy Black. Google search has you and Grant Cardone neck and neck. That's what I'm talking about. My man, Grant Cardone, man. By the way, people always ask me about Grant Cardone. You can also get the Sales Velocity Academy at Cardone University as well, man. So we got a great partnership going there. Really appreciate him and his team and my man Jared over there. Consumer buying behavior is best analyzed by research that contains questionnaire. Absolutely. I'm not going to argue that one. Melvin, what you got, man? Let's face it. By the way, I like when people start like that. Let's face it. People prepare themselves now before they talk to a salesman or a saleswoman. I'm guessing you named the video because 2.0, because we got to be at a much better place. Absolutely. You get it, Mel, when you are with me. Build your own brand. That's it. Well, build your own brand in at you as a rep. Absolutely, buddy Black. That's what you have to do. That's the new game. That's the new game, buddy. Great. I've seen this firsthand with our videos on YouTube. People start to believe you're an expert, right? Because you're demonstrating. It's not that they start to believe. You start demonstrating, and I guess they do start to believe, but they start seeing it for themselves. Boom. My man, branding is the new relationship positioning. People buy from people, not companies. I think it's true, man. I really think more than ever. Right on, man. Prospect by phone, brand by social media. And by the way, thank you for bringing that up, Spencer. I am not in any way saying that cold calling is dead. Anybody who says that is an idiot, right? Because everybody has their own method of outreach. And so whether it's phone, I mean, even text is becoming a way of getting out there. Sending videos, doing video cold emails, same thing. Whatever method you use that works for you, that's what it is. So I often hear people say, well, I don't know if cold calling works. Well, it works. It just doesn't work for you because maybe you're not doing it right. I agree with Brian. They buy you first, company second. I'm with you. What if your product is information? It's a product. It's a product. I mean, look at Forrester, Gartner, all these research companies. What do you think they sell? Stefan? Information, man. Information. That's what they sell. Love this. Appreciate it. Victor, any tips for strong empathy and empowering lines to not let someone very interested off the hook, but get them when he says she's on the phone right there and then? I don't, again, that's like a pressure technique. Here's what I would try to do, Rod. Here's what I would try to do. When I'm talking to somebody, I don't want to get off that phone not knowing if it's a go or no go, right? I don't want to keep them in there I want to know. And usually, if you find the right questions to ask somebody, let's say you've done a presentation, and I've said this in the past, and this is for my man, but I'll think about it. when somebody says, I'll think about it, you know what I always say, right? Mr. Client, when somebody tells me they want to think about it, it's usually for one of two reasons, is that they're not interested or they're interested but not sure. Which one is it? Just that question, just the answer to that question, rather, will tell you everything you need to know, right? Because remember, they say, no, I'm interested, Victor. I just need to think about it. And then what do you say? Well, Mr. Customer, I'm glad you're interested. And when people still have to think about it, but they're interested, it's usually for one of three reasons. One is that maybe the product isn't a fit. Is that it? Or they go, no, that's it. It's good. You get the idea. Remember that whole funnel thing? So by asking the right questions, you get a sense if this is a real opportunity or somebody who's not going to buy at all. Keep in mind that, a lot of people don't do the research, and you've had these people probably call you up, maybe Rod, but I know people call up and go, how much? Like, right off the bat, it's almost like, hello, how much? That's the second phrase. Hello, how much? I want to know how much your service is. When a person calls like that, again, our job is to take control of the conversation by asking the right questions, but keep in mind that when somebody comes at you like that, that's a price buyer. They don't understand value. They've not done the research. All they want is pricing. So my short answer here is you got to have the right questions because sometimes you can't close them there. I mean, the goal is to kind of nudge them along, advance the sale. But I would ask, what questions could I ask to see if this deal is real or not? That's what I would focus in on. Dwight Benz, Victor, I own an insurance agency and I'm okay doing video. Where do you think I should post and create content? If I'm doing insurance, I think Facebook, to me, by the way, so let's kind of step back here a little bit, Dwight. If you have a question about insurance right now, Dwight, where would you go? If you had a question, by the way, let's do a social experiment. Let's do a social experiment right now. Let's help Dwight out. If you had a question about insurance, let's say, I'm just say life insurance, right? Life insurance, where would you go? If you didn't understand life insurance, where would you go? Help them out on the chat. Come on, everybody, chime in. Let's do this social experiment here. Where would you go? Where would you go to find information? Let's help Dwight out. Type in, where would you go? Where would you go? What channel? What social media channel? You want to find out more about life insurance, right? You got questions, right? Where would you go? Pete says, YouTube, right? Brian Gator says the web, right? Which means you got to search engine optimize your articles. Joseph James says Primerica, my man. Warth Shabazz says YouTube. We got YouTube recent videos. Mia says YouTube. Kamala says Google. Darius says LinkedIn or Google search. So far, YouTube is winning and Google, which I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say, Dwight. I know what you're going to say. Victor, there's so much competition that my article won't stand out. Well, keep in mind that videos rank also, because remember, who owns YouTube? Google, right? So if you have the right keywords and you create, if I were you, Dwight, I would create a channel dedicated to insurance questions, right? A YouTube channel dedicated to just answering these are 1-minute videos. All right. Hey, this is Dwight Benz, your insurance dude, right? And you say, today I want to talk about the difference between whole life and term. And I'm going to make it very simple. And you do a 90-second, maybe 2-minute deal, something easy, with little graphics to make people understand. And you say, thank you, this is Dwight. Join me next week for my next video where I'm going to talk about whatever. And then all of a sudden, all this stuff you already know, Dwight. People are saying Google or web. CF says, good to see you, CF, says Google or Facebook. So again, it really depends. And again, we get Primerica again. Dwight, are you with Primerica? I got a feeling you're with Primerica. Recent videos, you get the idea. All right, so anyway, that's what I've done. Live versus produced. Produced, I would do produced. That's a good question. I would do produced. What made you go into sales? Money. The way it started out, On Point 007, was, I joke, but I don't joke. I started out as an engineer, electrical engineer, and then I moved into sales engineering, which means I got to travel with salespeople, but I was like the technical guy. And I got to be honest, I actually enjoyed talking to the customers and traveling. And plus, I realized salespeople also make good money. So that was like the trifecta. I like talking to customers, I like the traveling, and I like the money. I think I'll go into sales. And that's how I did.
Wow, this is one thing that we had to prepare for in 2021. Buyer's info education first, already outlining my plans. 2-minute videos. I'm thinking easy because people's attention spans are very short, according to your research and everybody else, man. And you're very welcome, man. Leon, exactly, Victor. Create the content that you know your prospects are asking themselves, but put yourself in their shoes, and that way you find it more easy to qualify them. You know, it's like that, it's that simple, man. It's like just for you, man, because that's it. It's put yourself in their position. What questions would they ask? Like if in the insurance game, I mean, insurance is so confusing, man. It's so confusing. There's so many opportunities. Let me see. I got the Ida Corps versus Fede Legrand song. All right, I can't argue with that, man. Thanks, King Vic. Love from India, man. Melvin, thank you very much. Darius, man. Cold calling works. It's a numbers game. I think it's part of a numbers game, but again, I hear what you're saying, man. It is. How to find the right questions. Ask people who've bought from you in the past. You know, I mean, again, this is the part about empathizing. Put yourself in their position and you'll begin to see, you know, what questions people ask. This is, I'm telling you, man, all you got to do is put yourself in their position, 1. 2, if you don't put yourself in their position, what you can do is ask somebody who already bought from you. But the thing is, your customers are asking you the questions all the time. Every presentation you're doing, customers are asking the same questions. Those are the questions you answer online. And just again, all this stuff just drives traffic to your website. Hey guys, and thanks Victor for holding another live show. Joseph James, man, thank you for coming back, man. Appreciate you. I'm glad caught you in time. Yes, you did, man. Thank you again. How much? $1 million plus or minus. Yeah, I know. Appreciate any tip for content on how to make it not too commercial or salesy. And I think, great question, Rod. How do you make it non-salesy? Because sometimes, you know, if it's overproduced, I think that was a question before about overproduced. Like if I came here and I said, hey, this is Victor Antonio. Today I'd like to talk to you about how do you actually get into sales and become that type of salesperson you want to be. Now, before I get into that, I just want to show you our product. You know, when you sound like that, it just sounds weird. But when you just talk to people, just talk to people. And I don't think a video needs to be, I think, by the way, I should say something. The question was live versus produced. Now, I should clarify something. This is important. So, Rod, I'm glad you kind of made me pause here. Because, look, there's live videos, live. There's produced videos, right? And then I like to call these natural videos, right? And I'm saying that these are stronger than these. This would be the order of 2 and then 3, because they may not catch you live. What do I mean by a natural video? A natural video, Rod, would be, sorry, I should have taken that out there. A natural video to me is something where you ever see somebody just hold the phone and just talk to the actual video and just have a conversation. And people want that realism. I mean, but don't make it so bad that it's bouncy, but I think people want a natural conversation. So you can get your phone, put it on a little tripod, hit the record button and say, hey, this is Rod Vidre. Today, I want to answer the question I often get, which is blah, 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 and then answer that question. So think about that. Let me see, YouTube Primerica, I got a bunch of those. If I missed you guys, I'm sorry. David Duford, right here. Joseph, what's this one? Joseph James put this up here. I think this is a recommendation, right? Joseph, David Duford, #1 life insurance channel. Look, so if I know that guy, I don't know who he is, Joseph, so I'm going to take your word for it. But let's say that guy has a life insurance channel. Do you think I'm going to copy him? Yes or no? Yeah. By the way, when I say copy, not copy his content, copy what he's doing. I will mimic what he's doing. I'll look at the type of videos he's putting. I'll look at the production of the video. I look at the topics that he's covering. I'll look at the length of the videos. That's what I mean by copy. I'll model him. If he's got a lot of subscribers, that's what I'm going to model. So maybe by the way, thank you for this one, Joseph, because it's a great suggestion. Find somebody you want to model. Maybe that's the word, not copy, model. And then that's how you begin to build your channel. But anyway, so you guys got a lot of content here. Let me see. I'm going to go down to the bottom here. Yes, thought of sharing strategies, same YouTube series, videos to attract clients. Shall I do as recorded or live shows? I think recorded is better. You know, Chandra, if you're just starting out, I would do recorded. Doing this live is very difficult, and sometimes people don't see you. They could see you later. I'm not saying don't do live, but if you've never done a lot of recorded videos, just be careful before you go live. I mean, some people are very natural and they can do live and they can just, but I would do recorded first, get used to looking into a camera like this right now, and then when you feel comfortable, maybe you can shift towards live. So great question, Matt. Great question. All right, couple more and I'm out of here. Victor Antonio, if on an inbound call with a warm lead, what is the particular process that you use to get the prospect to make many commitments leading up to the close? Beautiful question. Beautiful question. So I'm going to give you my process. Somebody calls in and they'll say, Victor, came across your website, and they'll typically say, we're looking for a speaker for event, right? And I assume already, because I know that's the only way you can get to me is if you go through my site to get my content and then call me, right? So I know, or they'll send me an email. Now, if the email has the phone number, I get the contact form. If it has the phone number, I call, right? And I introduce myself. I got your information. And then they're going to say, yeah, thank you for calling back, Victor. And they'll usually say, they'll usually volunteer, here's our event. Or I'll ask, can I ask what the event is about? Because they wrote something in the email. And then they'll tell me what the event is. Now, I don't jump in and says, yeah, I can talk about that. I always ask this question. And again, to me, it's been the commitment question that really closes and tells me how serious they are, Joseph. And I always ask, I said, tell me a little bit about the event. One question. By the way, is this the first year you have an event, or is this one that you have every year? We have it every year, Victor. I said, well, tell me about what you had last year and what you like or didn't like. Excuse me. And they'll tell me what they like or didn't like. See how I'm going so far? So now when they tell me what they liked and didn't like, that helps. And then I said, have you thought about the theme for this year? Notice I'm still asking questions. I haven't even talked about myself yet. And they'll tell me, well, the theme this year is, I don't know, post-pandemic pivot, right? A new beginning, 2021, whatever it may be. And then I said, well, give me some ideas of, and I usually ask for something very specific. Give me 3 to 5 topics or key points that you want to drive home. And then they'll tell me 3 to 5 key points that they want to drive home. Now, I'm being very sincere. I'm trying to understand if I can help them. And somewhere by this question, the 3 to 5 things, by this time, if not a little bit before, I usually get a question, Victor, how do you think you can help us? Well, now I understand the theme. Now I understand what they had last year. I also understand what they're trying to do. Now I can frame my conversation. And there's been times where I said, I don't talk about that. Like if you call me in to talk about customer service, it's not me. I said, no. I said, when it comes to customer service, I don't do that. How about building, teamwork, building teams? I go, don't really do that. It's not my thing. So I will actually disqualify myself out. So my process is to ask a lot of questions. The more questions they give me, and then by the way, so on the commitment part now. So I've asked the questions. We're having this dialogue. And I always get a sense of, do we align or not? Based on what they tell me they want, I can tell whether we align or not. And then usually, they're going to say, well, what's the price, right? I said, you can download my brochure, or here's the price. And this includes this, this, and this. And that response, I always listen carefully to when I drop price, right? Because in the majority of cases, people say, sure, okay, great. I've had people say, I thought it was going to be more. Now I feel bad, right? But it's usually when they ask me a pricing question, I know I'm getting close, right? When they give me a lot of content, ask me a pricing question, and the question I know is a commitment from them that they're interested. I guess this is what I look for. Instead of trying to get them to commit, I'm listening for cues that they want me. And the one I like to hear is, Victor, how do you think you would frame your messages with what we've mentioned already, with our theme or with our da-da-da? And now I go into sales presentation mode. Well, based on what you've told me, here's what I would do. I would talk about this, and I'd give them an outline. We'd talk about that, give them an outline. Based on those two things, does that resonate with you? And they're going to say, yeah, we like those topics. Small commitment. See what I mean? That's kind of how I do it. And then little by little, I get small commitment. And then on this topic, I would add this.
Then I say, well, does this resonate? Does that make sense? Do I need to clarify that? No, Victor, that's exactly what we're looking for. And then I'm telling you, all you have to do is have the right conversation and the right sequence. So I have a sequence of questions I ask, and then I'm pulling in a lot of, I guess, I'm taking in a lot of mental information as far as whether I'm hooking them or not. By hooking, I mean, am I aligning with what they want? Don't know if I answered your question, Joseph, but the commitment comes when they ask me about pricing. The commitment comes when I ask them, based on what I've told you so far, does this make sense? Does this line up with what you're thinking? And I don't try to win the deal. I'm very blunt. Here's what I talk about. Here's what I do. Here's the message I drive home. So if you don't want to hear this, then you tell me, then I'll pull that back. But this is what I usually talk about. They're like, that's what we want to hear. And then that's when you start getting the commitments. And what I've noticed, Joseph, and I know it's a long answer, when you stop being scared of selling, when you stop being scared of losing the deal, you sell more effectively because you sell authentically and honestly. Because if you lose the deal, you lose the deal. But you tell the folks, here's what I do, man. I'm being honest about it. Here's what I do. Here's what I'm good at. If this is what you want, I'm your guy. If it's not what you're looking for, then just go find somebody else. And so that's my long-winded answer to that short question, man. Where can I get the book? Oscar Correo Contreras. Amazon.com. Sales Ex Machina. Hi, Victor. I'm a big fan from India. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, man. Thank you, man. Lyrics que ustad. Oh, look, JJ looks sharp. You guys are in there, man. Sorry for the long answer here, man. Anyway, let me wrap up, man. Let me do final thoughts for today. So final thoughts, so I can get out of here. You guys kept me out here longer than I expected. I thought Sunday was going to be quick, in and out. I'm out of here. The biggest takeaway tonight is, hopefully, that you got it, is that we got to start figuring out a way to create content and building our brand online, because customers are going online to find information. Okay? And because they're going online to find information, they're further into the buying process, which means by the time they reach out, they're already well educated. So our job is to empathize, but help them and then elaborate, maybe help them clarify the information they found online, and then empower them to make a decision, as I pointed out. By the way, before I forget, hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. If you like the video, man, hit the like over here and then hit the share. And as I always say, man, if you can do me one favor, just share it with one person. That's all you have to do. And then again, if you could hit the like, that'd be cool. And keep in mind that buyers are evolving. And so no longer, I forgot who said this, but he says, a customer's ignorance is no longer a valid marketing strategy. Customer's ignorance is no longer a valid marketing strategy. And what the person meant by that was that in the past, ABC, always be closing, you were banking on the customer not knowing, and then you would come in and blow them away with your presentation and all the content and all the bells and whistles. They go, oh, I got to have it. Oh my God, I got to have that, right? But today, customers walk in like, I've done my research. What do you got? Totally different attitude. So we have to be better at selling our product or service. And on that note, I'm going to wrap this up, man. Thank you again, guys, for joining me. I appreciate you. It's Sunday, episode 97. You guys are awesome. Thank you for joining me. Victor Antonio, Sales After Dark. And I'm reminding you, selling ain't hard when you know how. Take care. See you next time.